Welcome to the BasePath podcast brought to you by New England Baseball Journal. I'm your host, Dan Guttenplan. Today's guest is the coach of the defending New England Prep champion Worcester Academy baseball team. Mike Abraham took over as head coach last spring, and in his first season, he led the team to a 17-3 record and Central New England Prep League championship, as well as the #1 ranking in the final New England Baseball Journal Coaches Poll. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan.
Yeah, it's an exciting time of year because you guys are just kind of kicking into the Central New England Prep Championship. This year's a little different. Last year you did it as the #1 seed, had the first round bye. So this year you're coming in at #3, and you'll host Cushing on Wednesday of this week. So how is it different? How has this season been different from last season so far?
Yeah, so we're actually playing today because
Oh, you are, 'cause of the rain.
incoming weather. I think today's going to be 75 and sunny. So, I think we decided as a league today was the best option to play. But honestly, it hasn't been too different. Just because I think our mindset kind of stays the same throughout the year. I think we've been playing playoff games for the last 2 weeks. So, in a way, we've kind of been already in this mindset of win or go home. So, the kids are excited. I think we're playing our best baseball right now, which, is exciting to us as a coaching staff. But, our league has been outstanding this year, as it is every year. But, everybody kind of beat up on each other, which I think makes it fun. But it's been a fun year for sure.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of last year's tournament with everybody beating up on each other. Last year was kind of a surprise because you guys had Maverick Rizzi go in the semifinals. Andover had Thomas White in the semifinals. They didn't face off. This was separate semifinal games. But I remember Thomas White got hit pretty hard, and that ended up you and Dexter in the championship.
Yeah.
What was your take? What were your takeaways from that first tournament? Was there anything to be learned that you can kind of implement this year?
Yeah, I think the #1 thing that stands out is just the competitive nature of the games. And I think you get that all year in our league. It just feels different when you're playing, the same team twice every year, the kids know each other. You're, familiar with the coaches. So I think there's always a different energy in league games. But, from a playoff atmosphere, it was just, not living and dying with every pitch. I think on the inside, maybe you have some different feelings that you're trying to outwardly show, to your team. But, our message last year was, play the game, not the scenario. And, at the end of the day, you're trying to get 3 outs, you're trying to get 21 outs. You're trying to score more than the other team. So, it's, for our guys, from guys who are returning from last year, they've been there, they know what to expect. And, we've kind of known all year, we've had a little bit of a target on our back. So, we're going to get everybody's best, but, I think that's what you want. That's why you play sports. That's why you compete. I think if that's not the goal, I probably wouldn't be coaching if that, that competitive nature wasn't driving, myself and, our program.
Yeah. Just looking at the bracket here. So it's Deerfield as the 1 seed, Dexter as 2. Both those teams will have byes. You're the 3. You'll host #6 Cushing in the opening round, and then Exeter is 4 and Andover is 5. Let's start with Deerfield. They were a bit of a surprise to get up to #1, but they have been in the hunt the last few years. They were in the championship game against Andover in 2022.
Yeah.
And then last year they were in the semifinals. What makes what made them such a strong team this year?
Yeah, I think if you ask anybody in our league, we're not very surprised. Pat does a great job there. And they don't beat themselves. I think that's the #1 thing that stands out. They play team baseball. They make every routine play on top of some, outstanding plays. They throw strikes, and then, they come up with some timely hits. So, they're in every single game, they're in, and they're incredibly well coached and, well disciplined. So, they've been able to pull out a lot of close games and, obviously beat up on some teams too. But, they they play the right way. They play hard. They do simple really, really well. So it's always a great matchup against them, and you're in for a tough ball game every time you play them.
And you wouldn't see them until the championship because if you advance, you'd probably see either, well, you would see
We'd see
Dexter.
Dex. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
went. Yeah, winner of our game would play Dexter.
How do you think, Deerfield will set up their pitching? Because they don't really have, like, a Mav Rizzi who, is a potential pro prospect.
No, yeah, and I think, that's but like I said, they, maybe don't have one guy that stands out, but they got 3, 4, 5 of them that are all gonna do a great job. We saw a mixture of those guys, this year, guys who just, they give you uncomfortable at bats. I'm sure Pat, will figure out a way to, put his best foot forward. And they're gonna be ready to go no matter what. So
And then as we look at Dexter, they kinda have the elite prospects. They have Matt Conti, who, is headed to Wake Forest. If not, he has an opportunity to go pro as well, and I talked to Dan Donato, he really thinks he will get drafted pretty high. They have, Gabe Mallarette, they have Chase Hartzell, both those kids are BC commits. Um, what makes Dexter such a strong team and the number 2 seed here?
yeah, I mean, you look, top to bottom, they're an incredibly talented roster. And obviously Dan has been and is doing an outstanding job there. Their kids play really hard. I think their strong suit is their arms. They are deep, 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 deep with arms. With some top tier guys too, guys who can spin it, guys who have horizontal, all that good stuff. Um, and then they're a little bit young in the field, but, I think anytime you got young guys, they're also gaining experience. But, you're led by, you know, I'm going to say top 2, even though I love them. I'm going to say top 2 because I got to defend Papetti, but top 2 catcher in New England, without a doubt, hands down. And anytime you have a kid like that, talented kid like that, especially behind the plate, your team's going to be competitive and you're going to be in every single game. But Dexter's a team they can beat. They can beat anyone. They compete. They play hard. They kind of play. They're a model of Dan, which is just a tough, competitive. He's a hockey baseball guy. So he's got a lot of fight in him. I think playing Dexter, some of my, we've played them in 2 years. We played them 5 times, and every single game has been a competitive, just down to the wire game. So, I think their pitching is, top level, and it's going to be tough for anybody to beat them.
Yeah, it seemed like last year, between you and Andover and even Dexter had a, Middleton who's up at UMass now.
Yeah.
That was all like the semifinal. It seemed like everybody kind of put their best pitcher out there in that semifinal game on Saturday and then kind of came back with what they had left on Sunday. How will it change now that you are in a first round matchup against Cushing? Is it, you put Rizzi on the mound and just say, "Hey, we have to advance," or do you say, we'll kind of hold him for Saturday?
Yeah, I think he's not gonna throw, today. He's available if needed. But in my opinion, I'm not gonna take the kid off his routine that he's been on for the last 4 months. Um, and pitch him on short rest. Um, obviously, we want to win, and I'm really confident in our other guys that, we have the ability and we have the talent to, get the job done. And if we'll be all in to win today, and if we are lucky enough to advance and get to Saturday, we'll have the big fella going. But we're kind of sticking to our routine. Like I said, he's available if needed. It's kind of we have midweek bullpen for him. But we'll have Cole Hambley and Pete Murphy going today. 2 guys who have been outstanding for us all year, and I have the utmost confidence in. Um, and yeah, we'll see how it goes.
What has it been like having Mav, heading into, like an elite prospect, LSU commit heading into his draft year, coming out of prep school anyway?
Yeah.
Have you experienced anything like that where it's scouts reaching out and, guys want to know when he's pitching and all that stuff? I guess it's easy if you just set it up. Hey, he's going to pitch every Saturday.
Yeah, I think, from that standpoint, we've kept him on a pretty, straightforward routine. And it's not us, it's obviously it's combined effort with him. Um, he threw Saturdays last year. It seemed to work out really well just from a rest perspective. He has a little bit more time. So, if we need to extend him a little bit, we can. I think working with NEB, you obviously, with some different guys we've had get drafted, you have some experience, from that perspective. Having my brother work in pro ball, we've kind of been around that. So, from that standpoint, not crazy different. I think the most impressive thing about, Mav this year is, it's the same thing that I think was so impressive about Thomas White. These guys are glorified and, they're pumped up. And so, every time they pitch, the opposing team is ready. They are always ready, especially, their senior year after you've seen them a year, 2 years, but, really at his kind of starting his peak last year. Every team on Saturday has been fully prepared and has had a plan to face him and for him to, I think, be as good as he is. In my opinion, I think he's been better this year than last year. Um, just from an understanding how to pitch, knowing kind of, hey, I got to go get this guy. I don't need to waste pitches, this and that, and just pitching with energy, pitching with pace, holding runners. He's continued to improve. Um, outing by outing. So, it's easy to coach a talented kid when, he wants to work hard. He wants you to, he wants to be coached. To me, that's the best part of it. Obviously coaching everybody's great. But when, one of your more talented players, wants to be coached, I think that, it helps coaching the rest of the team, helps make that a bit easier.
Yeah, it's funny. You all could almost see that enthusiasm with Thomas White on the mound last year in the semifinal when Dexter started to hit him. You could tell guys were like, "Hey, this kid's going to be a first-round pick, and I'm going to get to say I took him deep." And everybody was just
Yeah.
going crazy after every hit. But you can see, where that enthusiasm to face off with these big pitchers come from, especially when they only have a couple outings left at the prep level.
Yeah, no, I think, I know from our standpoint last year, like our guys were incredibly prepared and ready to face Thomas. Maybe you don't do that when you're, facing a guy who's a step under that. But when you have these kids who, I think that's a great part about our league too. You have these guys that come through that are, even Thomas now is having, a great first professional season. It's a great challenge. And it's good for the Thomas Whites, the Maverick Grizzlies of the world too, because, you're going to get everybody's best. And it gives gives them the opportunity to create another level of preparation and, mental toughness and, not being content with just talent, but, just continuing to improve.
Netting Professionals is proud to be the official netting partner of the Cape Cod League and the New England Collegiate Baseball League. Netting Professionals is in the sports business of improving athletic programs one facility at a time. Netting Professionals designs, fabricates, and installs custom netting, wall padding, windscreen, batting practice equipment, and much more for high schools, colleges, commercial facilities, and stadiums throughout the United States while providing high-quality products and great service to numerous baseball programs throughout the New England area. To learn more and to speak to a Netting Professionals representative today, visit them at nettingpros.com. Remember, when it comes to netting, it's Netting Professionals.
Are you serious about playing your sport in college? Do you need a flexible education that allows you to maintain your practice and competition schedules while also preparing you to succeed at the next level? You should check out the University of Nebraska High School. UNHS is accredited and offers more than 100 online courses, including NCAA-approved courses to protect your academic eligibility. Students can earn a UNHS diploma or take a single course for transfer credit. Courses are college prep, self-paced, and available 24/7, 365. Enroll anytime and take up to a year to complete a course. Visit highschool.nebraska.edu today.
Attention coaches, need baseball bat bags that last? Meet No Errors, crafting premium quality bags since 2004, the top choice for durability. Choose from stock bags for quick delivery or our semi-custom program for personalized logos in just 10 to 12 days. For a unique team look, try our full custom program. Let No Errors design your next team bags. Visit noerrors.com. That's no-errors.com for details. No Errors, where durability meets style.
Looking to keep up with all the latest news and information on New England baseball? New England Baseball Journal and baseballjournal.com are the premier resources for information and inspiration on the New England baseball scene. Have every issue of New England Baseball Journal, the magazine, delivered to your home or office. And don't forget to stay in the game every day with a digital subscription to baseballjournal.com to receive baseball coverage on clubs, college commits, prep and high school, Division 1, 2, and 3 colleges, showcases, rankings, and much more. Get in the game and behind the scenes now by going to baseballjournal.com. Just click on the subscribe button and start the subscription that is right for you today. New England Baseball Journal is a Seamans Media publication. Seamans Media. Inspiring, informative, insightful.
It seems like the coaches in your league were pretty unanimous about giving Cushing a lot of praise this year for being a more competitive team. You guys had 2 close games with them this year. You beat them 7-6 in April 12th, and 1-0 win May 17th. What do you think has helped them get so competitive this year and be a little bit stronger in your league?
Yeah, I don't think those. I think those were old scores. I don't.
Oh,
think
are
those
those
were
last
scores.
year?
Yeah,
I might be looking at
I
last
don't
year's.
know. Yeah, we played them Saturday.
Oh, okay.
But regardless of the fact, absolutely. Ryan has worked hard. To keep getting these guys better. And I think their just level of play has gone up. And I think it's just they're making routine plays. They have some a little bit better pitching. And they just don't quit. I think regardless, even last year, maybe they weren't as talented, but they play really hard. I have a lot of respect for their players and for Ryan. Um, they maybe get the shorter end of the stick, but those guys battle, those guys compete. I think people probably think of hockey and basketball when it comes to Cushing, but they have a lot of talented kids who play the game the right way, and it's been fun playing them and just following them because I think you want the league to be great. I know all of our coaches, we want our league top to bottom to be great. And I think from this year's standpoint, you may not see it record wise, but I thought our league was really tough this year.
You mentioned your experience with NEB, and I am sure you've seen a lot of these kids around, all different levels of prep baseball, the ISL, Western New England, all that stuff. ISL tournament is going to kick off today too. You saw BB&N, or no? What did you face off with a couple of?
Yeah, we played BB&N. We played Rivers. We played Lawrence. We had Belmont Hill and Milton on the schedule, but got rained out, unfortunately. So we're supposed to play 5 of them. Didn't play St. Mark's this year and didn't play Seb's.
Do you get to see
back on?
Do you get to see their best, or are those non-league games a little bit more? You're kind of holding back your best pitchers for league games.
Yeah, I think from an arm perspective, I think everybody's trying to throw, get some young guys some reps. You're kind of saving your top guys for league stuff. But I think every coach is different. Some guys use it as more of a scrimmage type, mix in some younger guys. We kind of do a combination. I think it all depends on where your team's at. I think if your team needs to create a little bit of rhythm, it's great to play your guys and get them more at bats, but it's also, you got to get some young guys some opportunities and kind of see what you have in them. So, I think you get a combination, but I think it's always fun to, play the ISL. Like you said, I'd say the high majority of our kids for NEB are in the ISL. So, it's fun being able to follow them and talk to them and kind of see what they're going through and all that good stuff. And just seeing them on the field too, so it's been, I know there's been some teams that weren't supposed to be as good and, they've had outstanding years. So that's been, that's been great to see.
Yeah. You mentioned that your brother he's with the Red Sox, and you guys had an opportunity. Was it this year that you went down and kind of trained with them for a day or two, or what was that
Yeah,
like?
so we didn't train with the team. They had an off day, so we were in Fort Pierce. So we took it was a long drive. We just had a practice day. I'm a baseball psycho, so we go on these trips, and there's mostly everything is catered around baseball. We mix in some fun too, but um, so we went down I guess across to Fenway South, and we just we practiced on the field for a couple hours. We were able to go inside the cages and um, hit in the inside indoor facility, kind of see some of the new technology they have, the new machines, see kind of the numbers that, some of the pro guys are at, some of the exit velos, um, which isn't everything, but, it's important for, our guys at a young level to understand, it is important to hit the ball hard, especially if you're trying to, you have goals to kind of, take it to the next level. And then we're able to get a tour, the inside, the offices, go through kind of the minor league locker room, the weight room, stayed away from the big leaguers, bother those guys. And then we're able to go, in the stadium and, take a photo, and, the kids were able to kind of walk around and, just kind of take it all in. Just trying to create, opportunities for them. Obviously this was a baseball one, but, whether it's, bringing in Noel Stem from, Woo Juice, a locally owned business in Worcester, to talk to the guys, um, about starting a business, or, having, my brother talk to them about his experiences road. I think, we're just trying to, give these guys, experience to remember, memories, and trying to, network as much as possible. As baseball ends at some point. So, the more people they can meet and, connect with, I think, that's a great for them, great for, our school and our program.
Yeah, so that's your brother Brian, who is he's the director of player development with the Red Sox?
Yeah. Farm director of player, yeah.
And
Director of
then
player development. Yeah.
yeah, and then your other brother Matt was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays in 2010, and then I guess your sister was also a college athlete. What was it like growing up
Yeah.
in that type of sports family?
I mean, that's why I think I am who I am. I'm the youngest of four, all athletes. Um, two older brothers who really set the tone. As far as I grew up on a baseball field, whether they were in Little League, being at, Jesse Burkett Little League All-Star games, or West Side Babe Ruth being the bat boy, eating sunflower seeds and drinking Gatorade. That was the only reason I liked to do it. Um, or, watching them both play at St. John's, Brian won a state championship. His high school team was nationally ranked. They had talent. That was insane. If it was a day, today where, we have, so many media outlets, those guys would have gotten a lot of coverage. Um, I think it made me, it made me want to be better always. It made me want to, outshine them, or even at times you don't want to fail them, which I think is sometimes a great motivation as well. Um, but yeah, it's made me a baseball nut for sure. Really just a sports nut in general, just being around, being a kid and just going game to game, game to game. God bless my mother. I don't know how she did it, with four kids, but it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun growing up, a lot of wiffle ball games, a lot of just, playing sports, competing, messing around, being kids. So I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah, and then there's gonna really no be not there's not gonna be any downtime for you, because you're right into the NEB season at the conclusion of the prep season. What are the
Yeah.
plans for this summer? What NEB team are you coaching, and what are some of the big tournaments you guys will be going to?
Yeah. So I coach our 16U team, the Jays. So, um, rising juniors. Um, yeah. So we'll get going first, second week of June. Um, we'll go down. I think the best tournament we've been doing the last 3-4 years, is Tournament Hoover. Um, it's about 90 teams, all high end teams. Kind of, I think what the WWBA might have been, years and years ago when it first kind of started. Now it's so big. You really never know what you're going to get. But the Hoover tournament, it's, great facility, where they play the SEC championship. So, it's a cool experience, for the guys there. Fantastic chicken finger restaurant close by, which is always fun to go to. But, so we're playing, some PG stuff up here in New England, obviously the WWBA. So we'll be down south for about 20 days in a row, this summer again. So I have a really, a high-end group. I'm really excited about them, really, very tough. Probably one of the tougher groups we had, a lot of multi-sport guys, on a just, baseball rats. A lot of them are having really, really good high school years too. So I'm really, really excited. Obviously, we're locked into Worcester right now and, ready to finish it, make a little playoff run. But, there's the 2 months of the summer, you traveling with the kids, being around those guys, you can't beat it.
Do you have any thoughts on that Perfect Game Fanatics partnership and the NIL implications of that?
Yeah, I read the article a little bit. I guess I don't know, enough about it to have a really strong opinion. I think at the end of the day, I think it's about the kids. It's always about the kids, and it's usually adults who mess things up for the kids. So just, I guess, just making sure kids are careful, especially now. It's such a branding world. Being careful about you obviously, if you're going to make money, you want to make money off your own name. But Perfect Game runs the youth baseball world, so they kind of set the tone for everything. So I guess if you can do it, they're going to do, what they have to do. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I will, I know you're playing today, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's been great catching up with you, and good luck to you in the tournament. And hopefully I'll see you this weekend if you guys are advance all the way.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on, and, appreciate all the work you guys do throughout the year. Updating everybody with, how teams are doing, highlighting kids. I think the kids really enjoy it, and, it's great to show appreciation to the different teams. So thanks for all you guys do.
I appreciate you saying that. Well, good luck.
All righty. Appreciate it. Thanks. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks to Mike Abraham for connecting with us by Zoom. Rate, review, subscribe to the BasePath podcast on your preferred platform. Thanks to our producer, David Yaz. The BasePath podcast is a Seamans Media production.